Pathway number 5, believers lay hands on the sick. Jesus told them in Mark chapter 16, verses 15, 17, and 18, "Go into all the world and preach the good news to everyone. These miraculous signs will accompany those who believe. They will cast out demons in my name. They will be able to place their hands on the sick, and they will be healed." There is no special theological degree required to experience this pathway of healing. In fact, the Scripture gives us the most basic of instructions. Those who believe will be able to place their hands on the sick, and they will get well. In other words, when you act on this Scripture, you discover one more point of contact for your healing. When you place your hands on the sick, you are making the God connection for healing with that individual. You are praying and releasing the power that rests within you. According to the Scripture, the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is dwelling in you. His Spirit that lives within you defeated death, hell, and Satan, the enemy of our faith. I have heard so many people say, "Well, what if nothing happens? What if they aren't healed?" My answer is simple. Healing always comes. It is not your responsibility to determine when it manifests. It is your opportunity to act on this word. Healing always comes through acts of obedience, whether instantly or over time. It is His responsibility to honor His word. You simply must act in faith, expecting that God will do what He promised. It can't be any simpler than that. Many times I have laid my hands on the sick and seen nothing happen immediately. In one case, a young woman stood in front of me with a large wrapped bundle. She was dirty, smelly, and looked at me with tears rolling down her cheeks and said, "They say my baby is going to die." I asked her where she was living, and she said, "My husband is in prison and we are living in the streets." I knew that bundle had a very sick child wrapped up in it. So I looked at her and said, "My Jesus is not going to let your baby die." I did not open up the bundle to see the child. I just laid my hands on the bundle, found her some help with the local church, and asked her to come back in 7 days and testify. I don't even know why I said 7 days. I had no idea what sickness this child had. I just determined to obey the Scripture. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well. Mark 16 and verse 18. 7 days later, this young lady walked into our tent with a huge smile on her face. In fact, I did not even recognize her. She was clean, in good spirits, and ready to tell me a story. I discovered that her child was a little over 2 years old and had never walked a day in his life. He had a liver that was shrinking and he was dying. After prayer, the baby had gained 1 pound in 1 week. He was now running with the other children, and the doctors could not explain what had happened. If I had looked at this child and said, "Well, what will happen if he doesn't get healed?" that child would still be sick today. Remember, you can trust His word. Healing always comes. Just take the opportunities the Lord gives you. The rest is up to Him. This is the 5th healing pathway available to you, the believer.